So happy to have Mo Chen. Where are you? Looks like you're in a. I can't hear you.
Unmute. All right, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I could hear you. Great.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm working in my basement, like code, slowly. Yeah. All right. Dark.
Okay. So just a quick rundown for you guys. Mo is currently working at SunTrust Robinson Humphrey. Curious to see a little bit what that's about. So he graduated in 2010. So maybe I guess we could start. So Mo, just to give you a lay of the land here, you got a bunch of people here, mostly people that are in the program, except Kevin. Kevin is out there in England. And he's thinking about the program. So welcome, Kevin. I guess what we wanted to know a bit more is in terms of the usual question we ask people, and then these guys will have a more detailed question. But how did you get, how did you move from the program? I think you were there.
Accenture?
Yeah, you were at Accenture and FuServe. And how did you progress? More important, how did you get that job, the first job?
All right. Yeah. So I know it's gonna be like a 20 minutes, 30 minutes session.
Sure,
so I'm gonna spend a little bit of time on like introducing myself or like on high level. So I graduated from this program. It was analytical finance program, right? So I graduated from this program in 2010. I got an internship in New York. I was there for about half a year, and then I moved back to China. I joined Accenture. It's a consulting firm, but I was doing equity analysis there. It's very similar to what I'm doing, equity research. I was there for about 2 years, and then moved to US with my families. I joined Evaluserve back in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing so basically Evaluserve is a vendor company like providing financial services to like investment banks and consumer companies, industrial companies. I was like an offshore help to those investment banks, like research teams. I was there for about like 3.5 years. And last year I joined SunTrust Robinson Humphrey as a equity research associate covering TMT space.
How did you get, where are you based? Is it where in the US are you based?
Yeah, so I was in Raleigh for about 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so how did I get this job?
Yeah, so SunTrust job.
So yeah, a friend of mine was working in SunTrust, and she referred me to this job. So yeah, you got no.
So it's like we said in all the discussion we've had, it's mostly networking.
People know people. Yes, right. Networking. You got to know people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you do there? And what is the firm all about? And how?
The work I'm doing, equity research.
Yeah. What do you do? And
yeah, so basically equity research. So it's part of the investment bank business. Like IBD. You have IBD. You have sales trading, and you have research. So mostly I do research on the companies we cover, TMT, like telecom, towers, data centers. Basically, I look at their financial ratios and read the news, read the 10Q, 10Ks, and we write research reports. We talk to clients about what we think of this company, what we think of this industry. And yeah, basically we think ourselves as like advisor, not like sales. Like we advise the portfolio manager like how to make investment in this sector. Yeah, this is what we do.
And you publish research, or is it research for the people, or research just for the for your clients?
Yeah, we publish research to the buy side clients, like like portfolio manager, insurance company, pension fund manager. We publish research reports on our platform, and they have access to the library. They can read our research and shoot us an email or just call the research analyst if they have any questions. Yeah, that's basically what we do.
It's interesting because last week we spoke to 2 weeks, well, the past 2 weeks we've been talking to risk management people, at JP Morgan and at UBS, and you're the first one that's more on the actual research buy side.
Yeah. So actually, yeah. So this is how investment bank usually structure. Like you have the, like, I don't know, like front desk, front office, like IBD, right? Research, sales, trading, and then you have the middle office, like risk management, compliance, and then you have the like back office there, mostly like tech support and people like that. So, yeah.
So how did what you studied, and then I'm going to let these guys ask questions, but how did what you studied help you in what you're doing right now? What courses were more interesting? And
well, that's a good question. All right. I can't remember what I studied in Lehigh. It was a lot. It was helpful. I mean, all of them are helpful. And I saw it's I have a CFA, so that really helps, So I think the combination of what you learn from school and the CFA program really, position well in this finance industry.
Well, it was 10 years ago, so I mean, it was 10 years ago. Yeah. It's a little unfair. When did you get the CFA? While you were studying, or
it took me forever, well, when I was in Lehigh, I would say like 90% of the students in this program, analytical finance program, were studying for CFA, either level 1 or level 2. It's kind of like a must-have if you're a finance student. Yeah, and then it took me a couple of years. Extremely hard if you have a full-time job and you have to work like after work. It's exhausting. It took me a couple of years. I got my CFA in 2016, in the summer of 2016.
6 years after. It's interesting because some of the students, I mean, the program is really geared to the FRM.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But you took the equity route. You took the CFA route instead.
Yeah, I was thinking about taking FRM, and like I know FRM is now like they split the test into like 2 parts or like two separate sessions, right? But like when I was a student, there was like just one test, much easier. So I was thinking about that, but I missed the opportunity. Like then they started doing things like two separate exams. I was like, okay, no, okay.
Guys, any questions for our guest there for Mo?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure. Yeah.
So at SunTrust, is there like a specific sector that you're usually centralized on? Because I know starting out, usually companies like to put people specialized on one specific sector, like whether that be like cyclical or healthcare. So I was just wondering what your take is on that.
Yeah. So it depends. I mean, like I'm a finance student, I don't have any industrial background. Like I haven't been working in any industrial companies. So I would say in most investment banks, they would put you in a sector that does not require some specific knowledge. You don't have to be a PhD in most of the positions, but in some sectors, yes, they require PhD, MD to cover that industry. But mostly like TMT, consumer staples, industrials, you don't have to be
What are you thinking, like pharmaceutical and things like that, biotech?
Yeah, right. that's a good point. Yeah. So for those sectors, you do have to like be a PhD to cover those companies. Yes. So in our bank, the associates and the leading analysts covering from farm sectors are all PhD and PhD guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey Mo, I have a quick question. So I know you said you're in equity research, and I'm kind of curious about the difference between equity research and quantitative research, because I know that quantitative research is becoming a little bit more fundamental over the years. It used to be fully quant driven, but it's now applying a little bit more fundamental concepts. So I'm wondering the other way around. Have you noticed that within equity research, is it becoming slightly more quantitative driven over the years?
Good question. Yeah. So I'll put it this way. So in most of the investment banks, I mean, at least I have to say from most investment banks, they're doing things like on a combined basis. You know, like in some investment bank, they have a data team in the like alongside the research team. Like UBS, they have, not sure if you have heard of it, Evidence Lab. You heard of it?
No,
So
no.
it's a bunch. Basically, it's a group of data scientists, and they like do like data analysis of those financial metrics, and they try to find the connection between dots, and they work closely with the research analyst in each team, and they try to publish something together. Yeah, so it's getting increasingly important for most investment banks.
Okay, thank you. So your work in equity research is still mostly fundamental. You're not applying any like statistical analysis or any type of those concepts on your research yet.
It depends on the skill set you have. I mean, I'm not programming person. I mean, my knowledge about Python, about SARS is very limited. I learned something about VBA on my own time, but it's not like working well enough, you know? Yeah, but if you have the skill set to do programming, I think that should be highly appreciated by your analysts, and you can definitely do some value adding work. You know, that's just my 2 cents.
So
Right.
going to that question,
Yeah.
languages or technologies like Excel, Python, R, SQL, which do you think are most important to know both for your role and in general?
For active research, I would say Excel is good enough. Yeah, we don't use like any fancy programming language. We just use Excel to build the models and do the analysis. But for if you were to cover like other sector, I would say like internet sector. If you know something, if you know like web crawling, you know, to grab data from the internet, like search results from Google or like app downloads numbers. If you know how to web crawl these kind of information, it will be super helpful. I know that you can use different language to do that, to perform that. Yeah. Excel is good, just good enough for equity research.
Awesome, thank you.
So going off that question, how marketable do you think like those technical skills using Python or R are in the like how marketable are those in the equity research field, and like how do you market those, do you think?
I would say like first of all, the research analyst has to understand what is what, right? So what is this, what these like language like are performing or doing the work. Then they have to make sure the portfolio manager understand what's in the model, what's embedded in this model, and what could be value adding. I think that's, I mean, today most portfolio manager, I don't think all of them have a decent knowledge of SARS, VBA stuff. I mean, maybe some of them does, but definitely not all of them. So yeah, so that's the disconnection, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So you're in North Carolina or South Carolina, are you?
I was in North Carolina.
So that's where the office is. That's where you're based, right? That's,
You mean right now?
yeah, the
Right,
office, the building. Where's the main
The
building?
building is on 5th Street, New York. It's very
Oh,
close
so
to
you're in
Trump.
New York then? I mean,
I'm in
maybe
New
not.
York, yeah. I was in North Carolina, but I moved to New York last year, 2 years ago. Yeah, our office building is on Fifth Avenue, close to the Trump building.
Okay, it's a good point of reference there. But so right now you're working from home, I guess.
Yeah, we've been working from home for like six months. It's like forever. Yeah.
How's the work been impacted? Is it make it easier? Is this business? How does this work?
Yeah, it's I would say it doesn't change things much, you know. I mean, if you have a laptop, you have a cable connection, you have a VPN, basically you can just perform the work like wherever you are, right? No matter you're on the beach or in a bar or at home, it doesn't matter. And I mean, this is for equity research, but if you're like on the sales team, you definitely need like six monitors in front of you so that you can know things better. Right? If you're a sales or if you're IBD, which requires a lot of conversation, back and forth conversation with people, maybe the working from home impact their efficiency a little bit more compared to the research.
And so I guess the question we ask everyone is how is the work changing with everything that's going on, and any trends that you could help us with to be better prepared? Or is it just business as usual? It hasn't changed. It's equity research. You do research and you work with the investment bankers.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't see a big difference, like from these months versus pre-COVID. It's not a big difference. I mean, just doing the work. I mean, it doesn't impact things on the research team a lot. I'm sure it's getting worse for the IBD person and for the salesperson, but for the research, it's just pretty much the same. Yeah.
I have a quick question. So for the research people, like for new hires, what are the most required skill set you are looking for?
Required skill sets. Yeah, I guess the rule of thumb is you gotta be likable. It's not some. I mean, yeah. So at the end of the day, you have to be like likable so that your clients or your analysts, your boss, would like to talk to you, communicate with you like on a daily basis. You gotta be likable and definitely like hardworking. Be like smart enough and know the stuff. Like, yeah. It's about like it's all about personality.
Okay, thank you. So do the research team talk to client a lot, or they communicate with the internal teams?
Yeah, we talk to analysts on the buy side, portfolio managers. I mean, I don't do a lot of conversation because I joined the team like 10 for about it's like 10 months into this job. I know stuff, but I don't know stuff well enough to talk to clients. And mostly my boss, he talks to clients a lot, but we do not do a lot of internal like communication with other department.
So by clients, you mean the buy side analyst?
Yes, like buy side analysts or associates. Yes.
I see. Thank you.
Sure.
Maybe you could describe to us quickly, like what your day looks like, you know, you interact with, what you do, any meetings, any, you know, calls or whatever, so we get a better feel for it.
Yeah, so my day usually starts at like 7:45. Yeah, just usually I start out like, you know, reading the news and then checking emails and taking some client requests. Or some clients they might be asking, hey, what do you get this data from, or what's this in your model, and what is the assumption, what's your take on this news, blah blah blah. That might take a while, and then just working on research reports or some projects. And sometimes there's like competitor conference. You know, most investment banks, they do like conference, like TMT conference, media conference, industrial conference. They do conference and they give us like a link so that we can listen and take notes. We listen to that, make sure we understand what the management is saying. It's talking about the industry, about their operation. Beside that, I think I like do some model updates, you know, update the stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much of it.
So when you do your models and like your equity analysis, so when you make your forecasting projections, are you using data in-house to really make your projections, or how are you kind of like coming up with your analysis besides just obviously skimming through the 10K and 10Q and web crawling?
Yeah, so mostly we use stuff from 10Q, 10K, and public filings. Well, first of all, it's your model. I mean, it's not rocket science, right? It's not rocket science, and your model cannot be like complicated, like so that like no one understands but yourself. Right? So at the end of the day, your clients need to look at the model and understand stuff, and they should be able, like, you should be feeling comfortable asking questions. So okay. Yeah, we usually use stuff from the public filings.
Okay, sorry? So you're not using alternative data sets to make your forecasting. You're just using 10K.
Sometimes we do if there's no public data. Sometimes we do some like in-house or internal forecasting, or we ask. I mean, we cooperate with the data team, like, and ask for if they have any inputs into this, and we can use in our model.
So the data team mainly does work for support for the research team, or do they do some projects on their own as well?
It's a mix, yes. I think initially they want to cooperate with the research team and publish things together so that they can have their name on the research on the front page of the reports, and people get to know them better. And then over time, they might want to, you know, publish something on their own, and yeah, and like sell these reports to the clients. So it's kind of a mixed efforts.
Great. Any more questions for our guests before I let them go back to work?
Well, sorry, one more.
Sure.
So your research pieces, how long are they usually? Is it like very structured, like documents with that give very detailed explanation how you build the model and where you got your data, or is more like a one-page quick summary of what you think your prediction on certain assets are going to be?
Yeah, good question, Kevin. It usually it depends on what kind of reports you're working on. Like during earnings, when company report financial results, right? Usually that's going to be like a short 1-page or 2-page research report. You know, just get to the point on what they did in the past quarter and what's our opinion on where this company is going in the next quarter, next year, what's our forecast. But we do not do a lot of explanation on our model because no one will read it. You know, like why we put like 10% growth rate for the next year, it doesn't make sense, you know, like, so no one will read it. But so that's the like So earning report usually are like short and concise. But if we're doing some like in-depth reports or initiation reports, it's gonna be like 30, 40, 50 pages long. So that's something, you know, yeah. So that's the long piece, or some in-depth piece.
Great, Mo. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for your help.
Yeah, thank you for
so-
inviting me to this session. Really appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk to you.
All right,
Thank you.
bye. Sure. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.